Okay. Robert?
Well, I don't like the idea of moving money from the EQ board. In the time past, Boone County, Mike Moore, as judge at the time, had an administrative assistant, but that was his secretary at secretary's pay. And I can't see creating this again with more salary. And I'm kind of like Sam, if we do this, then I think Crystal, her first deputy, Tommy's personnel in his office, and every other elected official, every first deputy ought to be promoted to administrative assistant with matching salary. Now, I guess we can come up with that money, that's fine, but I just don't see that this one is needed. Like you say, we're willing to give the secretary full-time back at secretary's pay, but not an assistant, not an administrative assistant. And if we do this, I just think that Crystal and every other department head ought to promote their chief deputies to their first deputies up to the administrative assistant title with matching money. I think that's going to create a problem.
Anybody else?
Judge, real quick.
Yes.
I'm a little concerned about it, but you know, I'm somewhat new at this, so I'm probably going to vote in support of this. But I would think that obviously in 3 or 4 months, when we start talking about the budget, you know, we'll need to look at this again. But I try to do, and I think people elected me to try to do whatever I can do to give everybody everything they need to be successful. And if you need this, then I'm going to give you the support that you need. And I hope that this will prove that a lot more stuff can get done, hopefully on the road department, things like that.
Thank you. By way of explanation about the salary, there was an administrative assistant in the county judge's office, and it paid more than the first deputies, a few $100s more. And the way this salary was figured, the plan would be to make this a salaried position. And if there's overtime, which there would be most of the time, you don't have to pay it if it's a salaried, if it's a supervisory position according to federal law, and that is carefully laid out what is required. And the way this salary was calculated was to take what that administrative position, if you advanced it according to the cost of living that we've passed every year, it's either been 2 or 3% for the last 3 years. If you divide that by 7 hours, that's the hours that the courthouse works on. 7 hours. Everybody works on 7 hours. Well, I'll take that back. Ralph and the custodians, Dale, they work. They're paid for 8 hours, and they work 8 hours. But the courthouse operates on 7 hours, and the way this figure came up with was divide by 7 hours, then multiply by 8 hours, and so it would in effect be a salaried position, and the responsibilities would be there would be a lot of responsibilities, and they would be daily. It would not just be when I'm gone. Daily, they would be supervising people. And David, would you want to pass out those folders?
Yeah, I've got some information here that might help. This has some information as to what the levels were. The judge has commented a couple of different times on the levels, restoring levels of funding back to previous levels. And in here, we've got some numbers. Did everybody get it here? It has numbers in there back to, I think, 2009 that compares that both on personnel and another category, the county judge's office is under what it was 4 or 5 years ago. And the dialogue that we've heard from the judge about restoring these things, I mean, it's not only the gravel pile and the road graders and that need to be restored in the road department. As I think probably everybody remembers, the last 1% sales tax was passed on the backs of the county roads. and that's where the money was going to go. Well, it did for a while. Well, it was specified in the ballot issue that it went to the general fund for county roads. Well, then all you're left with is it goes to the general fund. And what has happened over the last several years, probably at least a decade, that 1% sales tax has been whittled away from the roads. And, you know, not that it went to somewhere that it didn't need to go, but it's been taken away from the road department that it shouldn't have been taken away from in the first place, because back in the 80s when that tax passed, that's the only thing I remember about it, was that it was a tax for the roads. Well, I went on the court, didn't know the terminology and this and that. You know, that's why the terminology thing came up on that other ordinance last month. But it is it's critical, the wording on the ballot. Well, like I said, that funding goes into the general fund. Well, that money in the general fund can go anywhere. It was not specifically earmarked for the roads. And as I say, that has been whittled away and it's been dwindled. And now roads are more important than they were 50 years ago. Or more better roads are more important because there's more people on all of them. But anyway, there's some information in here, and if anybody's got any questions, I'll try to answer some of
It's that plus benefits. How much is the total salary going to be?
I think that's $34,740 annually is what's in the ordinance. And see, the significant difference here is, and I understand the aspect. I mean, we plugged and chugged through this thing trying to standardize, you know, positions and this and that and everything. But this is more than those other first deputy positions. It's more time, 7 hours as opposed to 8 hours. So it's not the same 7-hour position. The proposal here is for an 8-hour position. So if you scale it back, I think what he just said was you divided the old assistant by 7 hours, and then you multiplied that by 8 to get this. And I think figured in the raises that everybody's gotten and raised that level. And I think there's a little bit of a parallel drawn between the road department and the sheriff's department. Their top people are a little bit different classification, a little bit different job, maybe a little bit peculiar job, not peculiar, but I don't know what a good word there would be, but just a little more different. Pardon? Specialized, yeah, that's a good word. But anyway, you know, it's a little bit of apples and oranges. I mean, you can't just look at it as, okay, he's wanting a position, it's the same as any other position anywhere else in the county. But I do understand what you're talking about, but we are talking about more hours for this person to work than these people that are going to be making a little bit less.
If we vote this in, we're going to upset every county office in the county. Now, I know the judge said that this was more than one man can handle. More than one man can handle. But, Judge, whenever you look back, Laverne Grayson was done it, Mike Moore done it, Hal Wagner done it. I mean, if you had a full-time secretary and a fill-in, part-time fill-in, you can designate that work to that secretary. And then it'll save all this, because I guarantee you, if we vote in an administrative assistant, we're going to have every office in the county coming in here wanting the same thing.
Okay, Ralph, I would just like to say this.
I'm not Ralph.
I mean, excuse me, Sam, will you ever forgive me?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, y'all could call me, you know.
Somebody else?
Crystal. If you'd called me Crystal, it'd been a real mess up there.
No, it wouldn't.
He's good looking.
So what?
I just want to point out one thing. You are underestimating the quality and the dedication of the people that work in the courthouse and what they're about. Sure, they'd all like to have more money. I don't think they want to work a lot of extra hours in the county. But I really think you're overstating this courthouse labor union alleged. I really think you're way
I've
overstating.
visited with them, and they're not happy with it.
Okay.
Have you visited with them?
I haven't.
And you say they're all happy with it?
No, but they're not real unhappy. They're not gonna get bent out of shape. They like what they do, they're dedicated to it.
Yeah.
Most of them, they're good people.
Oh, I know they're good
And
people.
They're not gonna blow the roof off of the courthouse.
I know they're good people, but they don't want their employees treated any different than yours.
Okay, how many people that work for the county that aren't elected make more than this? Would you want to,
How many people that are,
on the county payroll, that make more than this salary right here?
well, I don't have that in front of me.
I don't either, but
You
it's
know.
12 or 15. So, I mean, and we're talking about apples and oranges. We're not talking about apples and apples. I just want to go over this right here, right quick. I have concentrated on the roads and getting money from them. I've let this go to nothing. And I'm talking about the county judge's budget. In 2009, the personnel county budget was $101,475. Mike would have been judge at that time. This year, 2013, that has dropped $100,720. That is total personnel budget. Now you take the total budget, the other things other than salaries, personnel. The total budget in 2009, when Mike was county judge, was $123,000. 2013, the budget is $121,545. Both of those totals have gone down from 5 years ago. And I don't have the exact figures, but in 2012, there was about $20,000 out of this $121,000 that was returned, that was not spent. And a lot of the county offices do that. And this year, or well, in 2012, there was about $28,000 returned that was not spent. And so effectively what we're doing, we're just transferring, you might say, the money where it's not needed to where it is needed. And this is justified, it's much needed, and it will pay off for the people of Boone County. I have no doubt about it.
Judge, the elected officials are not for this.
Pardon?
The elected officials are not for this.
Crystal, can I quote what you said? I asked Crystal, she was in my office, and we were talking about several things. I said, by the way, I want to talk to you about this. I said, are you against this? She said, yeah. I said, how much? 45%? I said, how much are you for it? She said, 45%. I said, how much? And 10% undecided? Was that basically the comment?
That's 45% for it.
45% for it, okay.
So
I mean, it's kind of a mixed thing. I mean,
45% for it and 65% or 55% against it. I mean, percentage, that doesn't matter.
Okay,
But
Bud,
everybody
you have something to say?
does not want this.
Mark?
One real quick question. Justice Thompson, was this discussed in the Finance and Budget Committee?
I don't believe we've had a finance committee meeting on this in the last month.
We did, and we
talked
discussed
about it
it
way
some.
back early.
Yeah, you weren't there.
Yeah, that's right.
Was there a motion made or any type of activity from the committee on this?
The motion was Brandon.
You had the minutes last, I'll give you the minutes.
Okay, Carrie, you're recognized.
Yes, during that finance committee meeting, the members voted to not support, to support and recommend this ordinance to the full
No,
council.
that's not true. They didn't vote to support it. They voted to put it before the court.
To put it before the court.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I call for the question.
Okay, we're going to have comments from our guests first. Okay, Ann?
I would just like to know how, if we do this, how that's going to affect these numbers. So is this whole, yeah, but it's not the entire, because we're moving some money around.
We have the net $34,000 difference on the
But it's going to
ordinance.
be more than, it's going to be more than like,
Well, there was
$1,500.
$14,000 that comes out of a previously budgeted county judge account number. So the balance of like what's that? Where's that total? Okay, so it'd be about $24,000 that's coming out of somewhere else.
And there's no new general fund
Yeah,
money
no
based,
new money
this is all, no new money.
appropriated. It's shifted. It's shifting around and consolidating.
And then to Mark's point, you know, I don't think we need to be hiring an employee thinking that, well, okay, we're gonna reconsider that position when we're looking at next year's budget and possibly in that position. That's no way to go looking for an employee. We're concerned about that.
Okay, Ralph, or, excuse me, Ralph, go ahead, Sam.
If it's
He's
beyond
just doing
the court,
that, Sam.
I'd like to ask Tommy what his opinion is,
Tommy,
and
you ready?
how it would affect his office.
My opinion is if you want a full-time secretary at the same pay or a couple $100 higher than my chief deputy, fine.
Okay, thank you. Now then, we're going to go to our guest.
What is Sandy get paid, Tommy?
29 something.